hole for wearing white to a wedding and having a whole bottle of wine dumped on my dress. Well, we shall find out, won't we? Using my friend's account to avoid embarrassment if I am indeed the a-hole. A few years ago, I, then 22 female, now in my 30s, went to my uncle's wedding. Him and his wife, both in their 40s back then, are pretty well off financially. Just to give you an idea, her engagement ring alone was worth over $50,000. They had an intimate wedding and ceremony, around 40 people max. The venue was at this big mansion. It was gorgeously decorated with what can only be a minimum of $30,000 worth of flowers. We had amazing hors d'oeuvres between the ceremony and reception with champagne, and more champagne. We had a meal with too many courses to count on both hands, with every course paired with a new bottle of privately imported wine, all put together by a sommelier. For those coming from out of town, there were enough rooms to stay overnight, and for everyone else, there would be chauffeurs bringing them back home safely. Okay, classy. Important point though, they absolutely wanted no gifts. No registry, no money, no nothing. They would cover for everything. We only have to be there. Ooh.
I want to go.
Interesting. Love that for them though. Only condition was that we dress the part. Black tie event. They had no bridal party. Instead, they wanted us to skip the gifts and put that money toward an outfit worthy of their wedding. This is where I might have f***ed up. What did you do, bestie? I went dress shopping at the same shop I went to buy my prom dress. They have a vast inventory of dresses and gowns, and I figured I'd find something there worthy of a millionaire's wedding. I was given a $500 budget for the dress. Since I was 22, in college, still working a part-time job, I would have had barely $150 to spend on my whole outfit. So my mother helped for the dress as long as she could go dress shopping with me, and that I used my initial budget towards shoes and accessories. I really wanted to wear a black dress. I find it timeless and classic and beautiful. Always a great choice. My mother was all bothered, like, absolutely not. You're not wearing a black dress to a wedding. Why the f not? It's a celebration, not a funeral. Yeah, but like, some people just look really good in black, which I get. So I started looking at other dresses, but I really had my eye on this beautiful floor-length gown. All black with lace appliques. Truly gorgeous. The perfect balance. The definition of sexy but classy. I still dream about this dress to this day, to be honest, but it was black, so hard no for my mom. We ended up with a compromise. At the end of the day, I chose this other black sleeveless mermaid dress with lace appliques on the bodice going down the hips and thighs. Thing is, all that lace was white. The thing is like, I doubt that someone would mistake you for the bride if you were wearing something like that. Remember when I said there were new bottles of wine with every single course of the meal at the wedding? Well, during the main course, a server dropped a bottle of red wine on me. Not a glass, but a full bottle. Freshly uncorked, dropped on my shoulder. 750 milliliters of red wine poured on myself and splashed on the man sitting beside me. I was drenched. I even had wine in my panties. Ooh. So much I had to change underwear while my mother was trying to dry out my dress. My uncle had the server removed altogether from the service. It was not their first mishap of the day. Apparently, she dropped a whole tray of crystal champagne flutes full of Dom Perignon earlier and almost knocked down the cake. It was not her day. So wait, so she didn't spill it on purpose? I'm confused. After the wedding, my aunt was furious at the employee, and my uncle asked the supervisor that I'm compensated for the damages to my dress. The company ended up paying for the dry cleaning. Recently, I was retelling this story, and one of my friends said, well, of course you had red wine dumped on you. You wore white to a wedding. I mean, she didn't wear white. She wore a black dress with white lace. Not exactly the same as wearing an all-white dress. I've never thought of it that way, honestly. I was so focused on not wearing black because black lace equals funeral, it doesn't, that I never thought about the white lace on the dress. I think if your mom had such a strong opinion about like a black dress, she would have had a strong opinion about you wearing a white dress. A year later, was I the a-hole wearing white to my uncle's wedding, and was the server only doing her job by dropping that bottle of wine, Rip Cabernet, on my black and white dress? All right, we have a reference photo. Picture of a similar dress, not exactly the same. Mine wasn't as long. The flowers were softer and maybe a little more form-fitting. Oh, girl, that's not a white dress. That's a really nice dress. I really like that dress. Let's get something straight here. We say don't wear white to a wedding. When we say that, we say the dress has to look kind of like a wedding dress, okay? Like floor length, lots of lace, like big, poofy, you know, it has to pass for a wedding dress. And even then, wearing an all white dress is like, someone wore an all white dress to my friend's wedding. The whole time I was like, is that white? Is it like beige? And I didn't like it, but it was all white. This is a black black dress with white trim. There's plenty of like summer dresses that are like appropriate for weddings that are white with like multicolored flowers on them, for example. That is not an all white dress. And your friend's honestly kind of a bitch. You deserve to get wine spilled on you because you wore a white dress? You didn't. Let's not get this twisted here. Wearing white, having white on you somewhere, like maybe the flowers are white or something. I feel like if there was a problem, your uncle and his bride probably would have said something, you know? And they seemed super upset about the fact that you had wine spilled on you. I don't think she did that on purpose. Your friend, on the other hand, sounds a bit salty.